If you're looking at the table behind me, I have parked a bunch of plants over there that are all in need for a repot. So I thought, why not sit down, do a little chatty repot. We're looking at all of the plants and I'm really excited to share some news with you. Hey everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is the beginning of spring, which means that it is the perfect time to give a bunch of plants a repot. So I just went around my collection and I found a few plants. That's definitely not all the plants that need a repot, but at the moment I'm still getting the fence replaced in my garden, which means that I had to move everything from the fences into the middle of the garden, which means that it is a mess in the garden and I would love to do majority of my repotting in the garden. Where am I going with this? I'm only doing some smaller plants today because I would love to do the larger plants outside just to reduce the mess a little bit. Also just to enjoy the warm outside air. Yeah, it's probably going to be another week or so until they're done with the new fence, but it's looking good, which is already like one of the first updates. I am going to have a new garden this year. New garden. It's like when I was a child, I would literally just switch the posters in my bedroom around and then feel like, oh, I have a new room. Or I'm the kind of person that changes their iPhone wallpaper and it's just like, oh my god, it feels like I have a brand new phone. So having a new fence will make it feel like I have a brand new garden and I'm really excited about that. But we can talk about the garden and all of my spring prep and so on later. Let's start with a few repots first. Let's be productive. And I really want to share with you some exciting announcement or news. I have a huge tub of aeroid mix here. Let's see. I really don't want to get up. I've got some moss and some pots over here as well. If you want to learn more about the aeroid mix, I have a tutorial about that linked in the description. And this is Philodendron luxurians. Such a stunning plant. Love, love, love this plant. And I've done a recent plant spotlight on this plant as well. So if you want to learn more about this plant, I have a in-depth video on it. Now, it's not super root bound just yet. You can see there's still quite some room left in here, but I also saw some older roots over here. I wanted to investigate into that. But I think it's still time for a repot. Just given the amount of leaves that it has at the moment, I feel like if I give it more room, it will have an easier time holding on to more leaves at a time, I hope. Let's find out. So I'm just going to remove that layer of moss on top very gently first, just so that isn't in the middle of the pot. It has too much water retention. And then I'm going to very gently try and free up a little bit of this substrate, just so I can investigate into the root health. All right, and while I do that, let's talk. So specifically, I have 3 events coming up. I am finally leaving my house. Over winter, I have like what? Seasonal dysfunction, or what is it called? Seasonal order dysfunction? Dysfunction order? Something like that. I just don't like winter. So I'm a bit miserable and I don't want to do anything during winter. But with spring coming up, it's like I'm a brand new person, honestly. So I've decided it is time for me to leave the house. Specifically, I am running my first ever workshop at the end of this month. So it's coming up quite soon on Sunday the 28th of September. It's going to be held here in Sydney. So it's going to be an in-person workshop and yeah, I'm really excited. It's the first time I'm doing something like that. I usually always just do video tutorials. But I've done some public speaking before, so I think it will be fine. I think it will be fun. I'm really excited for the, let's say, like community aspect of it as well, and just meeting other plant people as well, and so on. So I think that will be really cool. That first workshop is definitely more focused on beginners, aspiring plant parents, or people that have just recently picked up this hobby. But I'm really hoping that I can turn it into a more ongoing thing where maybe every month I have a workshop, and then I also want to do some more advanced workshops, like specifically about moss pulse, of course, or maybe even some Sydney plant swaps and so on. if you're Sydney based, in the comments down below, let me know what sort of workshop you would love to, would love me to run. Okay, I've freed up all of this. The roots actually look really, really healthy. And now that I've freed them up like this, you can actually see that there's quite a lot of them as well. Let me quickly put this aside. I want to show you something cool. Of course, I'm a little bit nervous about the workshop because it's the first time doing something. And if you're a regular viewer, you know how I feel about, you know, putting myself out there, and I have a bit of imposter syndrome and so on. But I just think, like, you know, I'll probably do it once or twice and then I'll feel more comfortable with it. So at some stage you just got to put yourself out there. But my strategy to not be too nervous about it, let's say, is to be as prepared as possible. So I reached out to kind of all of the local companies that I like, that I always work with, you know, Growing Grounds, Grow Vertical, GT and so on, and it's been really nice because they've been so supportive in helping me put some nice goodie bags together for the workshop. So it's not just going to be a download, I also want to do some activities as part of the workshop, and I want everybody to walk out of there with, you know, lots of nice stuff. So it's a ticketed event, so tickets are still for sale, and I linked that in the description. But the idea is that the items that you get in the workshop are actually worth more than the ticket that you pay, right? So that everybody gets great value out of it, on top of hopefully also learning something in the actual workshop. Anyway, at least that's the idea. See how we go. You know, it's a learning curve for me as well, but so far we've got some little GTs that everybody's gonna get. Everybody's gonna get pots from Grow Vertical. So Grow Vertical has sponsored some pots with a small pole. I didn't put the pole together yet. And then a larger pot with a larger pole. So that's good if somebody wants to try vertical growing. And Grow Vertical has also been super, super generous in providing a 10-litre bag of tree fiber for every attendee. How good is that? So Tim from Grow Vertical, absolute legend for, you know, helping me out with that workshop, as well as GT for sending through the nutrients as well. And obviously AJ is going to be involved. AJ is going to help me pick out some nice plants for everybody so that we can also repot in there. And AJ is also going to help out making a big tub of aeroid mix for us when we're there. So it's really nice to get their support and them helping me out and being so generous, and, you know, like, makes me feel like, okay, they obviously believe in my workshop being a success. So nice, thank you. So that definitely made me feel much better. You know, being prepared is my way of compensating for the imposter syndrome. So yeah, see how we go. Excited and nervous. Can't wait to tell you how it was afterwards. I won't film a full YouTube video about it, but I'll probably do like a little short on it or something like that. Yeah. And hopefully we can organize another workshop for October as well. Put a little layer of aeroid mix in here first, then the plant. I want to put the plant decently deep into the pot so that these sort of roots over here don't end up drying out, but instead start making contact with the layer of moss that I'm about to put on here. Now if you look at the plant and the root system in the pot, it's not that big of a stretch. Maybe if I would be repotting in winter, I wouldn't give it that large of a pot, or well, I suppose I wouldn't be doing the repot in the first place. I would just not do it, but we're at the beginning of spring. Actually, I can use the existing mix. The mix was perfectly fine. This plant should have its best couple of months of growth just ahead of it. So yeah, I'll reuse the existing mix. I didn't smell any root rot. Might as well be resourceful, right? Second, you guys hear about it before I'm officially announcing it on Instagram. I'm coming back to the States. I'm going to be at the Big Plant Expo. This time it's going to be held in Charleston, and I think it's the 25th and 26th of April. I'm going to be there, and there's going to be some other people there as well, which I'm not going to tell you about just yet. That's for them to announce, but I will be there for the full weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and there's going to be like a little meet and greet, I believe, set up. But I don't think the tickets for the event are on sale just yet. but I'm just so excited to tell you guys about it because I had a bunch of people reach out to me asking if I'm coming back to the International Aeroid Society Expo in Miami this year. I'm not, but instead I'm coming to Charleston in April. Now, for that event, it is also a ticketed event, and there will be a discount code, and you can use my discount code SPG10 to get 10% off your ticket. And anybody who purchases a ticket using my discount code also enters a draw, and we'll pick one winner who will get a 1-hour plant consultation with me. So if you're planning on going, make sure you use my discount code so you get a little discount and you get a chance to enter the draw as well. And that will be fun. I'm actually really excited to do that as well and do a little consultation with somebody, especially if it's a free consultation, then, you know, works with my imposter syndrome. You know, you can't complain about free stuff, can you? I actually want to, I just also, while I was talking to you, just added another layer of moss on here. Nothing crazy, but see how you can now not see the stem that much anymore. I don't compress the moss around the stem because I don't want any rot issues. But basically the idea is that any of these roots that we saw earlier can now be now make contact with the moss and then will be funneled into the pot. I'll park that on the side over here and then they'll all go outside for a thorough watering later. Next up, we've got my Philodendron Jose Bueno. It has actually crazy roots in and throughout the moss pile, but the pot also looks kind of root bound. The problem over here is not really that it needs a repot for root purposes. It's really just super top heavy at this stage, so front heavy, so I just want to give it a larger pot for stability purposes. Yeah, anyway, I will put everything about the Charleston event in the description as well, and I'll let you know in the description as well whether or not the tickets are on sale already, but they might not be ready just yet, but we'll definitely talk about it. The giveaway is actually going to be drawn in January, so it's only across the pre-sale, but I'll give you plenty of heads up if you are in America and would like to partake in this. No need to worry, but I don't know. In German we have a saying, Vorfreude ist die schönste Freude, which basically means that anticipation is the nicest form of joy, and it's so true. Like, looking forward to something, anticipating something can sometimes be more joyous than the actual activity itself. So I love looking forward to things, and I'm looking forward to going there, and I hope you guys are looking forward to having me again. Last time I was in America, in Miami, everybody was just so nice and so excited to meet me. And I met so many cool people there. So I'm really excited, and I'm especially excited for the other special guest that is coming as well. Oh, that was way too quick, sorry. I literally just popped it in there and filled in the gaps with more aeroid mix. That's it. There is absolutely nothing special done here. Much better stability now, right? Also needs to be watered in. I'll park you on the side. Oh, look at this one. This one is an autumn queen, I think also known as caramel marble. And it had bad thrips, so that's why there's like a leaf missing here, for example. That's the latest leaf. Thrips free, happy days. There's lots and lots of like ferns in the pole, but the pot looks a bit filthy. This plant has done very little in 2 years of having it, so this year I'm determined to finally take care of it a little bit better. I just never really looked into this plant properly. I never really cared for it properly. It always just was a filler and went into like a spot that was available, whether it suits the plant or not. But this year I actually really want to try and grow it nicely because I know it has potential to grow into a really nice plant. And you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of all these old leaves that are ugly, sorry, because even though again it doesn't need a larger pot, I would love to give this a slightly larger pot just so that more of these nodes are actually in the substrate and can just build a more solid foundation for this plant. I think that would be ideal. Did I just rip this root? Maybe. I'm also going to quickly just cable tie this plant to the pole because it's kind of a little bit loose on here. Sweet. Okay. Might as well just rip this leaf off as well. I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that. They were just pissing me off. And next month, I believe, I need to look this up actually. 11th of October, I will join the Central Coast Council in their Waternight activation down in Terrigal. Waternight is on October 23rd and it's an initiative run by the Water Conservancy, and they have reached out to me asking whether I would like to be an ambassador for them. And I said yes, you know, I'm in my leaving the house era. Hopefully I can meet some of you guys from the Central Coast over there. So if you're local to the Central Coast, Newcastle and so on, hopefully you can come down to Terrigal. Again, I'll leave all of the information down below. But I'm also excited to just learn a little bit more about water. I use water to water my plants, and I know how important water is to everything, to all living organisms, right? No water, no life. And of course in Australia we also at times struggle with being very arid, but to be honest, the last few years, especially in New South Wales and Sydney, have been very wet. So actually our water dams are so full that they had to release water to not overflow. So at the moment we're more struggling with like flooding rather than being arid. I mean, we still always need to conserve water and be resourceful with water, but I suppose it's not as urgent as it has been in other years before where we went through droughts. So it's not necessarily about, you know, convincing people to use less water. It's just more about being more responsible with your water usage and or understanding where your water comes from in the first place. It's one of these things that we take for granted, right? We open the tap and we expect clean, healthy drinking water to just come out of the tap. And that is not even the case in all countries of the world, right? Like that in itself, having good tap water coming out of your tap is already such a privilege, but we just still take it for granted. And it very much reminded me of plant blindness, where people just take plants for granted. You see plants in your daily life, but you don't pay attention to them because they've just always been there. You know what I mean? I mean, we probably do because we're plant people, but non-plant people, they couldn't even tell you what plants they've got in their front yard. They're like, oh, some bush. They couldn't even tell you what it looks like because they honestly don't care. It's just their brain just blocks it out and just sees it as general greenness. And I think it's the same way with water. We just block it out. We just take it for granted that of course water is coming out of my tap, of course water is coming out of my shower head and so on. So Waternight is really more about raising awareness. So you're supposed to switch off your taps for 5 hours, I think, and really consciously pay attention to how often you actually just use the tap and how convenient it is, and just get a heightened appreciation for water. And I think that's a really cool thing. I'm always intrigued by how things work in the background. I'm always intrigued by like the infrastructure of things, the supply chain of things. Like when I watch YouTube, I watch things like how cereals are made, and or like the supply chain of vanilla beans. Guys, if like look into this, it's crazy. There's literally farmers that have to protect their harvest with their life because it's so expensive and often subject to theft. Most of it comes from Madagascar as well, and I can just go to Woolies and grab a vanilla bean for like $5 and I just take it for granted that it's just there. But just knowing how much trouble and how many people were involved, and you know how many people literally risked their life to make sure that that bloody vanilla bean ends up in my local Woolies over here, blows my mind. Anyway, so I'm really fascinated by that, and I think the more you know, the more appreciation you can have. So I'm really excited to get educated myself and then hopefully also spread the word. And of course, hopefully meet some of you guys down in Terrigal as well. So plenty of opportunity to go. I mean, it looks so sad now, but don't worry, it's gonna get better from here. So plenty of opportunity to come meet me if that's something that you'd be interested in. All right, what else do we have? We have one Anthurium stump over here. I don't even remember what it is, but looks like a Magnificum hybrid. And another one over here, which I think is a Clarinodium square heart or something like that. They don't look too healthy, so I'm thinking there must be some root rot. They were up in my rescue section upstairs, and I think I've just been a little bit too liberal with the watering potentially. But we'll find out. This square heart has had root rot for the last 3 years though, so I think it's just really prone to root rot, which makes me think I should probably do something different, but guess what? I'm not. I'm gonna do the same thing again and hope for a different result. The definition of insanity, I know. Okay, it has like the lengthiest stem ever, but I can see 2 healthy roots dangling down there, and then a few healthy roots dangling up there, and nothing in between. Does that mean I should chop it? Probably. I will let this dry out a little bit before I repot it. Alrighty, so those are kind of like the important events and updates I wanted to tell you guys about. I'm a little bit faster in updating you guys on these things on Instagram usually. So if you do have Instagram, highly recommend you following me so you can kind of get a few more live updates on things like that. But if not, I'm trying my best to keep you informed on YouTube as well. But you know, due to the time of producing videos and so on, it's not as like live and up to date as it is on Instagram. But I mean, with America, for example, we've got plenty of time, right? We don't need to rush. Yeah, so there was definitely a little bit of root rot involved over here, and I can also smell the root rot. Like I can smell, it just smells a bit damp, like earthy. But that's okay. You could do like a hydrogen peroxide treatment, but you could also do nothing. So I'm going with nothing. All right, what else is happening in my world? I mean, I mentioned before, I don't know. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but I honestly am just so much happier with life at the moment than I was even just a month ago or 2 months ago. And look, it happens every winter. I always get a little bit like down in winter when it's dark. It was also such a wet and dark winter. Sometimes we can have beautiful daytime temperatures, like over 20 degrees, and it's nice and sunny, and you can go outside and go for a walk, even train outside and so on. And then just at nighttime it gets cold, but this winter it was just so rainy that the sun just did not poke through at all. And that made me a little bit sad, but well, it's over. So, you know, it's a good reminder for you guys in the Northern Hemisphere now going into winter. If you're feeling a little bit down over the next half a year or so, especially if you're feeling down about your plants and your hobby and your ability as a grower and so on, just remember that it's most likely just seasonal and that everybody goes through it. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more comfort. Anyway, I don't have to worry about winter for another 8 months, which is just the best time of the year. Over here I've got some silver band Maranta. I'll come a bit closer. I've just been propagating it in water and it has nice roots, so I'm gonna pot this up. But this one does not go into my normal air void mix. This one I'll actually put in a other mix. This mix is equal parts cocoa peat, perlite and worm castings. So it has much more water retention, is much finer, has no big chunks, right? If you look at this, it's just very fine. Versus the air void mix that is like super chunky. Now, because it's so fine, it has less aeration and drainage, but the perlite still adds some aeration and drainage, but specifically it just has much better water retention, which these super fine roots of a Maranta would appreciate. But it still drains well, right? You always need drainage, so that's why I always put perlite in here, but it's really fine perlite as well, which was actually by accident, but is what it is. Sweet. Let's see how easy it is. So I'm super excited. The only thing that's putting a little bit of a spanner to my spring prep is the work in my garden. It's been going on for 2 weeks now, and the fence is not done yet. I've never seen people work so slowly. Pretty sure they're getting paid by the hour because they're moving so slowly. The only way to explain that is that they're incentivized to be as slow as possible to make as much money as possible. That's the only explanation I can find, because like it's painful to watch how slow they are moving, to be honest. All of this is out of my control. The fact that I'm getting a new fence, what fence I'm getting, how tall the fence is, what material the fence is, when I'm getting the fence, none of that is in my control. I'm just a renter, I just need to suck it up. But I would obviously love to make as much use of my garden as possible because I bloody pay for that, right? And especially this time of the year, after having had a rough winter and it's so nice and sunny recently, it would be really nice to finally be able to enjoy the garden again. So I really want them to wrap up so I can enjoy my garden, but also so that I can start all of my spring prep out there. I want to repot my plants. They caused a lot of damage by removing the fence in the first place, and obviously I need to recover some of these plants. But also I can't maneuver anything at the moment. It's because I pushed everything into the middle of the garden so they can move around and access the fence, which means I have just no area in the garden available to do anything right now. Plus, I want to move some of my plants that have overwintered inside, outside, but I need to free up space over there first, right? And so on. And that is my favorite part of the year. Quickly Addressed is a beautiful begonia. Never really grew for me that well until I put it in my light stand over there. And it outgrew its pot so quickly in that stand that I'm trying to maybe separate it out. I want to put it back there because it looked so good and it obviously loved that spot, but it is so root bound by now that I have to water this plant every day, right? Because there's just no more substrate to really retain all of the moisture, and there's just so much plant supported by that little pot. So that's why I want to kind of separate her out. Let's see if I can just conveniently split this. I know they're gonna have a hard time being split, but I think I'm just gonna, I don't know how to do this. I've never repotted a begonia. I don't really grow begonia, so I'm not too sure how rough I can be. Judging by the really fine roots, I don't think I should be too rough, but how can I possibly not be rough if I need to split the whole pot? Should I just split it, like, and rip it? Okay. I suppose we'll find out if that was too rough or not. Let's hope it wasn't. I will pot this back into the same pot. I'll use the same mix that I used for the Maranta, for the begonia as well. Nice and water retentive. Yeah, and then I want to get on top of all of my plants that used to be on my wall of aeroids, had to move into my greenhouse. So my greenhouse is packed. I can't even physically walk in there at the moment, so nothing has been done in the garden for the last 2 weeks, and it's the prime spring repotting weeks, you know, so I'm just so keen to get out there and get my hands dirty after a winter of just sitting inside and looking outside and it being rainy. I want to be out there. I want to get my hands dirty. I want to do things. Sorry. I have this kind of shallow pot that I hardly ever use. I thought, let's put this in here. Unfortunately, this is like an orchid pot, doesn't come in see-through, so we'll fly blind on the success of this, but I think the begonia is going to react fast enough to tell me whether or not this was successful or not. Maybe I shouldn't have split it up. Maybe I should have just potted the whole thing in here. Alright, that looks good enough for me. Well, anthurium over here. This is one of my only anthuriums that's in a black pot, and I don't know how healthy the root system is. I chopped off all of its leaves because they all had severe fungal issues, but I would love to know about the root health of this plant. So because I'm not using a see-through pot, I don't know if this plant is healthy or not. All I know is that currently it has no leaves. So judging by the leaf situation, oh well, it has this one leaf. Judging by the leaf situation, this shouldn't be the healthiest, but removing that layer of moss, I can already see a few roots. So see, I can see some roots over here. Now, what could be over here is that the new roots that have grown into the layer of moss are healthy, but maybe all of the roots down below in the substrate have rotted away. Because it's not in a see-through pot, I don't know when to water this plant. So I might have overwatered this a little bit. I'm so useless as soon as my pots are not see-through, he says, after repotting the begonia in a non-see-through pot. I don't care about the begonia, sorry. Okay. I'll bring you closer without making a mess. Kind of as expected. Can you see that the roots in the top layer of moss are quite healthy, but down here, for example, we have some unhealthy roots. So let's separate this out, and maybe I can give this a smaller pot. Maybe it didn't need that huge pot, and the smaller pot would be available in clear, right? So anyway, where was I? Yes, so there's going to be lots and lots of spring content coming your way, I hope. I mean, including this video right now. But yeah, I hope you guys in the Northern Hemisphere can kind of live through me as you're going through the colder season, and then it will be your turn again, right? So we'll just keep taking it in turns. That sounds fair to me. What else is news? Now, yeah, with spring and me feeling better about life in general, I also feel better about my plants. I also feel better about my business. It's not going amazingly, but we're kind of plodding along, you know, and I'm still enjoying it. I'm having fun, so that's really good. I just in general feel a little bit more relaxed about it, you know. I think one thing leads to another, and then sometimes I can spiral a little bit, but at the moment I'm feeling pretty level-headed. And I'm also going on a little holiday / business trip to Perth. I'm going to go to the GT facility. So GT is the fertilizer brand that I've been using for the last 6 years now. And they've invited me to go to their offices and meet their head chemist, yeah, I think that's who he is. And hopefully I get to work with them a little bit as well in a commercial capacity. I haven't worked with them commercially before. I'm just using their product because it actually works. But I'm trying to be a little bit more business savvy, and ultimately it is a brand that I've been using for so many years, that I've recommended to you guys for so many years. I feel very comfortable recommending this brand because ultimately proof is in the pudding. I know this works. Yeah, it needs to go. It's actually very, very healthy root system. So I know that there's going to be more than this one leaf coming this season. That's good. And I will just reuse the pot, and now I'm not worried about potential root rot. I mean, if the root rot would be so invasive, explain all of this. But I will not reuse the substrate. I will use a fresh batch of air-wet mix. If I would have known that the roots are that healthy, I should have probably not looked into it at all. I'm probably causing more harm than I'm causing good over here, but you know, that's what happens when you don't use clear pots. You don't know if your plant is healthy or not. And if I would have discovered that the whole pot has root rot, for example, then it would have been exactly the right thing to do to repot it. So, yeah, point proven about my clear pots, huh? I mean, I've been using their product for so many years. It will be really nice to finally kind of meet them and somehow be acknowledged for my work of recommending the product for so many years as well, hopefully. And while I'm there, I'm also going to take a little holiday. I've never been to WA, so Perth is in Western Australia, which is like a very long flight away actually. It's like, Australia is a big country, guys. And they have Rottnest Island near Perth, which is famous for the quokkas, which is like this cute little marsupial that always has like a smile. You probably heard about the quokka selfies on social media. So I will definitely go take some quokka selfies. So I'm excited about that, something new, you know. I'm also excited about seeing new places in Australia. I've been to Brisbane many times now. Been to Melbourne last year as well. Was it this year? This year? Beginning of this year. Never been to Perth, and I also want to go to the center. I want to go to like Alice Springs, Uluru and so on. But one thing at a time. Let's focus on Perth first. All right, last one. We're taking these 2 stumps that had just enough time to dry out now, I hope. I won't put a moss pile on this just yet because there is no roots, there's not even a shoot yet. Alrighty, I'm done here. I'm gonna have to go into that little bit of garden that's not obstructed by construction work just yet. Put them there and just thoroughly water them in, give them a bit of time to drain, and then I need to find new pots for all of these. So I will let you guys go. I hope you enjoyed this. It was just a little bit of a life update. I feel like, you know, over here on YouTube, I really have like my core audience. You guys understand me. You guys listen to me a lot every week, so you kind of know what I'm going through and so on. So I hope you also enjoy these sort of life updates and, you know, learning what's ahead and seeing where I go and so on, following along. And if you don't, then not sure how you ended up so deep into a video. I don't even know why you would have clicked on it, and I have no idea why you would end up at this stage of the video, so I'm not too sure why I'm addressing it. If you want to learn more about any of these events that I was addressing, it's all linked in the description. If you're in Sydney, I hope to see you very shortly on the 28th of September as part of my workshop. If you're in Terrigal, I'll hopefully see you on the 11th of October. And if you're in the US, I hope I'll see you in Charleston in April. Very, very exciting times ahead. Give this video a thumbs up, leave a nice comment, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, now's the best time. Really appreciate it. Happy growing, and bye.